All right. So today, three main things I want to really cover. We're going to go over how to do class schedules properly, like what's the best way to do an actual class schedule. And I'm actually going to workshop it right here in front of you. So it kind of makes sense of how you should go about the process, right? Remember, it's like the math equation. You solve it really fast, or just because you know how to figure it out, or you know it so well, you can do it, workshop it. You don't have to be taught again. You can teach it to someone else, right? Borrowing the information, you can do it. Owning the information means you can give it away. You can teach it, right? All right. So that's one of the things we're going to look ahead to Q4. What are the things on quarter four in a martial arts business that you need to be really conscious about, thinking about? And then I've got some things I'm going to start off with right now, which is first. And I want you to hear what I'm saying because I am a student of life. I will not sit here in front of you and say, I've got it all figured out. I am figuring it out. I am working to it, through it, and then I learn it, acquire it, use it, abuse it, get better, and then I give it to you guys, right? So I spend time, energy, effort, and money to get better every single day, 5% every day. Sometimes you go for getting better, and sometimes you get knocked right on your face, okay? So I want you to hear this in the contents of how it resonates with you. And so it might not be directly reporting about your business. It might be something in your personal life. It might be in your, something spiritual walk or your fitness, things like that. Okay. So you can replace some of these words sometimes based on where you are and what it means to you. So one is you stay in poverty. You stay in poverty, whether it be financial poverty, mental poverty for a lot of you guys. A lot of you guys have this idea that you can't do better. Won't do better. Like it's not in the cards for you. I get down in the dumps that way sometimes, right? You stay in poverty until you learn these two words: my fault. When I was a kid, we'd say this thing, we'd say, hey, my bad. Anybody remember? Or maybe some we say that still, right? Hey, my bad. All right. And the problem is we say it so much, it loses its meaning. It's kind of like, I love you. How many times you're on the phone with somebody, hey, love you, you hang up. And it's a friend, it's a family member, it is the one you're in love with, right? Being in love is such a word that means so many things. I mean, I can love water. Trust me, you love water when you're thirsty, but I'm not in love with it, right? I love my dog, love my kids, but there's different levels. And so I think sometimes when we say my bad or my fault, it can lose the meaning if we just don't use it properly. And so what I'm saying is you stay in poverty, mental poverty, financial poverty, when you give away control, when you blame someone else, and that someone else could be circumstances. That someone else doesn't have to be in a someone. That someone else could be you're blaming the economy, you're blaming the president, you're blaming your friends or the whatever. Okay. And so when you blame anything, you've given away the ability to have control to fix it. And I want the ability to narrate and control my life. And the only way to do that is to make sure I take responsibility and it's my fault. Okay. Now, easy words to say, but just like if you were teaching a kid and you're teaching them how to apologize for something, sometimes when you say I'm sorry too quickly without actually understanding if we're sorry, one, let's be honest, sometimes you're not sorry. Sometimes it was intentional. And then two, did you understand the depth of what you're apologizing for? So you stay in poverty until you learn the words, my fault. Once you say that, okay, once you've said it's your fault, then you're obligated, if you mean it, which you shouldn't say unless you mean it, you're obligated to improve. All right. Next thing is, guys, there is always someone who has it worse than you. There's a business in worse trouble than yours. There's people in a worse situation than you are, and they're still surviving. Okay. And you will survive the pains that you walk through, and you'll come out the other side, and you will probably have learned some skill sets, depending on your mindset, depending on your poverty level of your mindset, skill sets that you can take to the next big animal, big obstacle that you have to bust through the boss at the end of the level, or you'll become bitter, not better, bitter. You'll be the one that's like, I'll never date someone like that again, right? Because you're letting one person shape the outcome of everyone else, and then you end up dating the same kind of person again, right? So there's always someone's going to have it worse, all right? And there's always somebody that has it better. There's always, I don't care how big you guys get, You become the sexiest human being on planet Earth. You become the richest man on planet Earth. You think you got it all figured out. There's someone's going to have it better than you. Maybe their family life's in better position, right? Maybe their health is better. There's always people with worse, always people with better. And so when we have that comparison theory that we're always looking at the guy next to us that has more students than us, like, and then we're like, well, I got to get 50 more students. And then you get that. And then there's a guy that's going to have 100 more than that. And so that's why having your North Star, what you're really chasing, what it feeds you internally, like what motivates you, really who you are, really who you are. You got to backwards engineer your life and your business from that. And so when we go through things that are very tactical in your business and you don't know where you're going, that's why a lot of you guys will sometimes struggle because you're still struggling with the idea of the direction. Okay. You're in comparison mode all the time. Okay. Another thing is we talked about, just getting verified, look legit, right? Pay the money to the social media apps to get the blue check marks, but find in every bucket the fast lane you can just get to the front of the line. TSA, yeah, get pre-check. Then now they've got like 3-4 levels. They've got the clear, they've got the next level, because they did exactly what we talked about last week. They created a product and that was so successful. Guess what? Everyone's pre-check now. So now the line's not even faster. So they had to create the next product. And they found out people are willing to pay to get to the front of the line. Disney, you pay money to get in Disney premium. Then you pay money now for some of the rides inside Disney once you've already paid to be there, because they have an upcharge for their newer rides. So like there's always levels to the game continually. Okay. It does not stop. Next, I know it seems unfair, but you have to send about 100 direct, not as a group. You have to send about 100 letters or emails or text messages or phone calls, 100 people to get the one person to say yes. That's the math you need to know in your mind. It takes 100 of actually you reaching out to get the one yes. And so if that's the equation and you need 10 more clients, that's 1,000 people. Okay. So like do the math. If you're upset and frustrated that you reached out to 50 people and you only got one appointment, you're frustrated. The reality is we're so busy. We have so much coming at us that that's actually probably pretty good. Now you want to get better and you want to have, shoot your shot on the right kind of people. But don't get frustrated when you contact 10 people and you got 10 no's. You're just building the muscle. And I think young people, and I say young as not in age, but young people when it comes to experience, think it's going to be a, knock it out of the park rate when you get started because you're excited and you're motivated and you think everyone's going to be excited, motivated like you. It does not work that way. Okay. Do a better job. Everyone here needs to do a better job, particularly for you guys in the space of teaching martial arts. If you're the instructor, we need to do a better job of sharing people's stories. We've got to start telling people stories. Proof is better than promise. You want to be able to do both. You want to have so much proof that you can promise, but proof speaks stronger. When you walk into a martial arts school and they say, this is a black belt school, and if you ask them, well, how many people have you turned out to black belt? 5. Okay, well, how long have you been in business? 15 years. Huh. This is a black belt school. But 5 and 15, what? Something don't add up. Well, we make it very tough and hard. Okay, but how are you a black belt school and only 5? Like, how many people have you been here? And so share people's stories, because proof is more important than the promise, and you want to be able to do both. And so the proof is you're not necessarily having to promote black belts fast. I'm not saying like do that, but you've had people that have Crystal's a great success story. It's on this call right now, like completely a different human being, completely. However, at some point, she probably gets tired of even hearing about herself too, which means they need to hear about the next Crystal. Like she should be bragging on the 5'7", and she does. And that's a culture thing. You want to constantly be telling about other people's stories that are inside your business. Okay. And then last year, over prep. That's how you get to profit. Over prep is when you get to profit. Okay. So I'm going to switch now gears into focus on class schedules. And I want you guys to ask questions for me real fast about when we get to the end of this, about how to utilize your class schedule. Okay, so somebody's trying to get on the call and they don't have the link right now. Pause for 1 second, guys. I'm trying to get somebody a link real fast. All right. I'm taking a pen and paper. I'm going to do this a live time, exactly how I would do this in my schedule. Pen and paper right here. So I'm going to go through the process exactly how I would build out the perfect class schedule. Okay. So I'm going through all the things. This is what you take notes. So first, I need to decide, I'm going through a decision. Do I want to be open 7 days a week, 6 days a week, 5 days a week? Okay. You see what I'm saying? Now, I don't want to, I didn't say you had to teach 7 days a week. Do you want to be open 7 days a week? How many days a week do you want to be open? Okay. So got to make that decision. Then you can pull back and backwards engineer. So that's step one. The next thing is I got to figure out, well, is my market mostly adults or kids? Right? Is my market mostly adults and kids? Do I have one? Do I have both? Do I want to focus or target one or the other? I've got to make that decision. That's going to determine my schedule. See, a lot of you guys are just copy, paste, because you're not asking yourself these questions. And for you guys who have a great, successful program right now, you got 200 members, 180 members, these are still some of the things that you need to process and go through because you could be losing opportunity that is in your grasp for you to take advantage of. Okay. So, do I have adults? Do I have the kids? What's my main target? What's my main focus? Okay. Or both. And then those are my wants, right? What do I want my program to be? And then what are my needs? And that's kind of coming second. So I'm going to build from the perfect what I want. Man, I want a school with 300 adults and 300 kids. Okay, well, because then I have to figure out a schedule that's going to actually provide an opportunity. Otherwise, I just create frustration. Okay, so I'm going to go through exactly right now. I'm going to pick some of these directions and teach you how to do this. Okay, so because then there's secondary things I have to figure out. So I'm going to go in here that, hey, I want to be open Monday through Saturday. I want Sundays to be closed. Okay. And I'm going to make Saturdays my specialty elective focus classes. So remember we talked about you have trials, and you have a core, and you have your electives. So I'm going to do those on Saturdays. And I'll do some of those special events on Fridays. Now, this is where I'm going for the direction, which means I want to make my core program to be Monday through Thursday. So I'm going to do a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday core program. Friday, Saturday would be electives. Okay. And so now, am I a 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day week program? Does everybody come all days? Well, that's probably if I got 5,000, 7,000 square foot of mat space, I probably could do that. But I'm going to go with the average 1,800, 2,500 square foot studio. So I'm putting these guys on a rotation of coming twice a week on a core program. So I'm splitting them up on a Monday, Wednesday, and then a Tuesday, Thursday schedule. Now, the next thing is I'm a kids focused school. So the next thing I have to figure out is what time does kids get out of school in that area? Okay. So let's say they get out at 3 o'clock. If you've ever been to Carline could be stressful. Carline's no fun. So if school gets out at 3, I need to measure for mom that got there at 2:30 waiting in Carline. She picks her kid up at 3. What time can she get from there to the school? Because those kind of parents do not go home first. They might get a snack. They might already have in the car, but they come right to class. And so let's say that creates the opportunity that my first class could be 3:45, right? I don't create a 3:15 class because it's probably not realistic. I'm probably creating frustration for those people to be in a hurry, and maybe 3:30. If the school's directly across the street and they can walk to you, maybe 3:30, because some people are not at Carline right at the beginning. But you need to know when Carline for your elementary school, what time they get out, and actually what's the realistic ability for those people to get to you. That would determine what my first kids class could be for elementary and middle school type kids. Now, that creates the opportunity. Do I want to have a 3 or 4-year-old program? They're not in school. Maybe their relatives are. Can they come in before? Would I want to create a 1 o'clock class, 1:30 class for that age group, so the mom can go from there, then to Carline and come back? So I have to backwards engineer based on what I want. So let's say I don't want 3 and 4-year-olds. Okay. And so I would create a 3:45 class. And then I'm going to go basically until 8 o'clock for my teens program, my youth programs, and my kids programs. So 3:45 could be your, 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds maybe. You could then go right into a 4:30 or 4:45, depending on how long your classes are, directly afterwards for my 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. Then I'm going to create the opportunity that's going to go an hour for 5:30, another 5, 6, 7-year-old class that goes to 6:15. And I like 6:15 over 6 to have another 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old class, which goes to 7:15 for my teens. And that would end at 8:15. Now, the reason why that's important is because now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have, 5 classes focused on kids, just kids. And if I can have 18 to 20 kids, that's 100 kids that come that day. But where's where you mess up? On Tuesday, I don't follow the same schedule because for my 5, 6, and 7-year-olds, I have a 3:45 and a 5:30. What I want now is maybe those 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds get out of school a little bit later, and I can't have a class until 4 o'clock for them, which means at 5 o'clock, okay, 5 o'clock, I could have the 5, 6, 7-year-olds, which means at 5:45, I could have my 8 through 12-year-old groups. And then at 6:45, I could have a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old group. And then at 7:30, I could have another teen class. So now I still have 5 opportunities, another 100 kids, but I gave a 6 time slot. I gave a right at 5 o'clock. Okay. And I would probably, if you could, back this up to 3:45, depending on time to get out of school. Right. And so now I have each one of these has a 3-ish hour, a 4-ish hour, a 5-ish hour, and a 6-ish hour over those 2 days. So now I'm hitting all the time zones, not just copy paste the schedule across the board. Now I'm not talking about adults yet. I'll get to that in a minute. So now I could have 200 students in the school on a Monday through Thursday schedule on a 4-day core program and 2 days for electives. Well, that gives me Friday. What would I put on Friday? Friday could be special events. It could be your testings. It could be your private lessons, your semi-private lessons. I literally could go from 4 to 7 o'clock, 3 hours. And if I only booked semi-privates, okay, and let's say I did 30-minute semi-privates for kids, that gives me 3 hours. That gives me 6 opportunities at 4 kids a block. It's 24 kids could be doing semi-privates. That's about, 12, 13% of your kids program coming to doing semi-privates. And then Saturday would be your electives, which would be maybe your competition team we talked about yesterday. It would be your leadership or your junior instructor course, your SWAT teams, whatever you want to call those. And then if you have special events, right? And so this is not even like you could create Saturday could be a competition curriculum, then a competition team. Then you could have a leadership curriculum, and then you could have a leadership team. You could have phases to this. And this would keep your schedule super easy. Okay. My lighting keeps wanting to follow me. You could keep your schedule super easy. And this would give you 200 members. And at $300 value that you would be chasing, that you should be able to create, that's 600, let's see, 200 times 3, yeah, 60K a month. That's 720,000 a year. And you would need 2.5 people to work in that school. Okay, two full-time, 1 part-time person. And that would put you probably between a 25 and 40% margin, depending on, expenses on rent and things like that. Now, that is exactly how I would create the schedule. I look at what do I want it to be? Do I want to be 7 days a week? How many days a week are I going to operate? What do I want for my staff for quality of life? This, if you notice, I didn't talk about any adults. That's a $700,000 program without any adults. Well, what if I want to add adults? Sure, I could add an 8:15 class, and then an 8:30 class, and have another 40 adults that come through. Now I've got 240 members. But now my guys are teaching 6 hours, and that my guy who's teaching a 5-year-old now has got to teach a 35-year-old might need different skill sets. And now he's not getting home till 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then his girlfriend or wife or somebody's upset with him, potentially. If it's you and you're the owner and operator and you want to do that because you want the money, that's where you have to make that decision. Okay. Then if I'm also going to add adults, what time can adults come? Pre-work, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. You could have a 5 a.m. class and a 6 a.m. class, 12 p.m. class. These could be classes. These could be semi-privates. If I had a 5 a.m. class with 15 adults because I was in the right market, and another 15 adults at 6 a.m., another 15 adults at 12 p.m., and have 45 adults on a Monday, Wednesday, and another 45, now I've got 300 members. That's $1 million program. Now I probably need a different instructor for that. Right? So you have to do the math on what's going to feed your soul. So one location easily could do 300 members, $1 million a year, 3 staff members running that school. dynamic, fun, exciting. If you build the class schedule for it to make sense. I know it's a bunch of gibberish right here, but that's how you lay it out. What I'm seeing too many times is people just copy and paste, and they'll have a 3:30 class, but they didn't realize that school got out 3:15. Or they'll have a 3:30 class, but school got out at 2, and they want to know why. Because people aren't going to go home or sit around and wait. They got to be able to flow through it right off the bat. Okay. All right. So that's how you do that. When you do your one-on-one call with me, let's look at your schedule, and is it feeding the engine of where you're going with your business so you can make the revenue that you need? And then I'll finish with this Q4. Q4 obviously is October, November, December. Cameron talked about having a trunk or treat in November. That's something that if you're going to do something like, or in October, excuse me, you need to be planning for it now. That flows right into your, obviously you have your Halloween party, whatever that is. You need to have it already planned out where it's going to be, because it's sneaking up on you. I've already seen costumes out in the stores. Then November, are you closed for Thanksgiving or not? Don't wait till November to tell people. You should already know. And you have an election year, probably going to be closed that day. And you have your holiday sale, and it should be the first or second weekend going into the month. And if you want to do it 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days, it needs to be already earmarked. You do not want to get past the 10th, 11th, or 12th of the month. You want to be really pre-10th. Okay. Like in your mind, like by the 11th or 12th, it's almost too late in the year to do one. And then December, when you close for holidays, what is your policy? When's your last belt testing and graduation for the year? Do you have a tournament you're taking your team to? Do you have team tryouts you're doing? Have you planned what you're going to sell at your holiday sale? Everything in Q4 right now you should have the outline. In January, you should have the outline. Now you're doing the detailed planning for Q4. So things to think about: booking a place for your graduation, booking a place for your different events, right? If you have a Santa event, if you have a trunk or treat event, these are the things you need to already be working on the details of now in August, because it's sneaking fast, because September is the last month for Q3. Okay. So holiday sale is a big one. You got to make sure that's ready to rock and roll. And so you want the dates, you want it planned out, and you want to start dropping the hints of when those dates are, almost like save the date type stuff right now. Okay. And when you close for the holidays, even when you reopen in 2025. All right.